Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Writers of the OC. Here we talk to writers all based in Orange County. I have the sunset of Laguna Beach, beautiful Laguna Beach right behind me. If you are a reader or a writer or just somebody who loves the creative process, keep on watching. This is just like the Housewives, except less trips to Rodeo Drive. Okay, this first guest, I'm so happy she's here. She has grown up in a dance studio family that owned and operated a dance studio from 1972 to 2006 right here in California. She's a graduate of UCI. She has a BA in Fine Arts, and she's just about to complete her first novel, Firefly Dancer. Let's welcome Charmaine Wakefield. Hi, Charmaine. How are you?
Hi, good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to start with first the Firefly Dancer. Just tell me a little bit about the genesis of this and the idea, that how you got the idea in the first place.
Well, the basic premise is about the passion for dance, and the passion for an art or for anyone or for a person can be equal. And passion for a real art, for dance, can be resilient and can continue through any kind of odds. In the story, the dancers have one quest to be famous dancers, and by the end of the story they've evolved into knowing what that true passion actually means, and it's more than just being a famous dancer or a famous dance team. So it evolves that way.
What a cool message, especially now where there's this, not that it's necessarily always bad, but there's this Instagram famous thing that can happen. And that's not kind of that's not sustainable through a life. It's our passions and our drives and art that keeps people going.
Right. You think you have one goal, but then in life it evolves because things happen. And you find that you are in a place maybe you don't like, but eventually you find out that you can still move forward with your passion. It's resilient if it's real.
That's really cool. Especially now after this year, it's like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who maybe were on one path, but because of this crazy year, it's kind of going on another path and finding that new pathway.
Right. That you can do the things that you want to do and work your passion, even if it pretty much becomes impossible. It's not impossible.
I love that. That's a great message. It really isn't. It isn't. I can't wait to read Firefly Dancer. And you're also working on a short story that is a precursor to Firefly Dancer, and I love this idea that one of the characters is a younger version of the character in Firefly Dancer.
Correct.
It's almost giving so much meat, I would think, to that character to be writing this short story. Or did you already have all of that kind of all of that backstory already? Or is it sort of filling out the backstory of this character?
It would be backstory that you wouldn't necessarily need to have to read or understand Firefly Dancer, but it would be something that would fulfill a little bit more, I guess, the background of the girl that is the actual main character in the book.
I love that. And this is a romance novel or romance novel adjacent. I am the biggest fan of romance novels. I read romance novels all the time. I will be reading your book. I consume them like I don't know what consumes a lot of things, but that's how I consume romance novels. They are the blood of my life, my life's blood. You're working on another short story called Flying Like Fish. And I want to hear more about this story. And also, I know that you have a real affinity for the water.
I do. I love to swim. I swim a lot every day. 2,500 to 3,000 meters is my norm. And in the morning, I do it very early while the moon is up, not the sun. And and I also love to snorkel. I've made several trips to Hawaii, and in some of them I've encountered, different kinds of sea life. Fortunately, not a shark, but I have encountered, knocking on wood, but the giant sea turtles are my favorite thing. I love the giant sea turtles, and I was fortunate enough to swim next to a giant sea turtle in several different occasions. And then in this story, it's a very special giant sea turtle that I talk about in it, and it's mostly true. There's, of course, it's a little bit embellished in the story, but I did actually swim next to the giant sea turtle in the ocean, not in one of those paid for environments, but just stepping out onto the beach. And I swam out. I have a habit of swimming out a little too far, and people are always telling me not to go so far, but in this case, I was really happy to be able to follow a giant sea turtle quite far out into the ocean, and that's what this is about.
Wow, what a beautiful thing. My goodness. And you I know you listen to audiobooks while you're swimming, like in a pool, but I'm assuming not while in the ocean, but
No.
what's fascinating to me about this, and I'll talk more about I have another question for you after this, but what's fascinating is that it must put you in a space of, because like when you're in water, it's like almost a little bit of a sacred space. Like you're not like on earth, you know what I mean? A little bit, it's a little bit in another place. And then to
Exactly.
listen to a book while you're sort of in that space, is that what you like about it? Is that what your experience is?
Yeah, there's no interruption because I'm swimming and no one is going to stop me. Well, not usually. And sometimes somebody does, but yeah, and the earphones have like this stuff you can put in so that you get none of the water whooshing. It's very much just really good audio on the book. And if it's really well done, I can swim for an hour and not even think I was swimming for a minute, because I'm just moving without with only my thoughts on the book, not on physical exertion. So I mean, I swim really easily. Other people have said they get distracted and they can't listen to the book because they're thinking about swimming, but I don't think about swimming. I can swim without thinking, I
That's
guess.
really, and so it kind of, you're in this other space.
Right. And it's sort of consuming. If the book is really good, then it is all consuming. And if the actors reading it is really good, it's even better. So yes, I love doing that. And it's, a lot of people listen to music. I found myself getting bored with iTunes, my own iTunes, for that long every day. So the book is, but sometimes I turn the book off. If I'm trying to think of a solution to something in what I'm writing, I will turn it off and because then I'll get distracted and not listen. So then I can turn
Yeah.
it off and think.
Well, I was just about to say that. I was just about to ask you that. I was going to ask you about your process, and is that part of your process? And also, this is a two-part question. Also, what made you, coming from such a dance background, and I really believe that all art is really intertwined, the core of it. Everything is telling stories, but what was the inspiration to write? What was the inspiration to start to write? Have you always written? And then what's kind of your process of how you do it?
I've always wanted to write. I've always been involved in the studio, and I've had other jobs as well, but I was never not involved in a studio. So writing was something I just always did for fun, even as a kid. And it was just, I would, keep a diary, or I would just write a description. I really like writing just descriptions of things. And the story, has to come after that, I guess, because literally I think of an image and then I want to write about that. Like the image for Firefly Dancer came to me first of what she looked like on stage. And then I created the story around that and the characters that would make that story happen.
I love that as a process where you see kind of the image of it, and that's kind of the dance background and all, and what a beautiful way to start writing. Well, I love hearing about people's process because everybody comes at things from different angles, and I just love, there's the picture, and then I'm sure it makes it so rich because you've seen it.
Yes, yes, I've seen many things like it. The story that I'm writing is not one that it has no basis in truth. There's no person that's the Firefly Dancer. I'm not writing it about anyone in particular. It's probably a convergence of literally every artist I've ever known. And then I picked out the parts from each one that's going to make up these two dancers.
How cool. Well, I can't wait for it. I will be reading it for sure. And also your short stories, there's going to be another book. There's going to be A Truth That Can't Be Told 2. Apparently that's a working title. But those short stories will be featured in that book as well. Charmaine, thank you so much for joining. It was such a great conversation.
Thank you very much for having me. It's fun. Very good.
Okay. All right, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.